The broken audit. He stops before he notices what the book is. The pause comes first, without reason. Then the fact of it. An old ledger pressed flat against the stool, its spine aligned with the wall, as if placed there deliberately, then left behind. The room is dim, not softly. Light from the window reaches the floorboards and stops short of the corners, leaving the rest to dust. The stool stands too close to the wall. Its fabric is thinned to threads, where bodies have tested it and found it willing. His hand rests on the ledger without opening it. The cover feels dry, cooler than expected. When he shifts his weight, the wood gives a brief sound. Dust lifts, hangs, then drops. The ledger is heavier than it looks. Its corners are rounded, pressed inward by years of handling. The spine holds, stiff from habit more than care. A name is pressed into the leather, shallow now, nearly gone. He does not read it. He already knows it. The cover warms unevenly beneath his palm. Beneath it, the pages press together with practiced resistance. This book was opened often. It was kept straight. He nudges the stool with his foot and stops. The angle is nearly right. Nearly wrong feels worse. He leaves it as it is. The floor stays quiet. The air smells of cedar dust and cold metal. The smell rooms keep when no one has decided to heat them. His breathing adjusts without instruction. Somewhere beyond the wall, a clock ticks once louder than expected, then settles back into distance. His fingers stay on the cover longer than needed. He traces the embossed letters without forming them into sound. The edges are worn smooth, polished by hands that moved without pause. His thumb slips beneath the cover. Emotion surprises him, though not enough to stop it. He had not intended to open the ledger. He had not intended to move it at all. His thumb presses where leather ends and paper begins. The corner bends inward. There is resistance. Then a dry snap, small, final. When he lifts his hand, the crease remains. He notices it immediately. The corner does not recover. He presses it once, lightly, then stops. The fold holds. The page looks altered now, not ruined, but no longer clean. It already seems older, as if it had been waiting. The clock continues. Dust settles where it fell. He steps back, only a little. Enough to see the bend clearly. Enough to understand that smoothing it would leave another mark beside it, and that two marks would look deliberate. For a moment, he considers it anyway. The thought thins and passes. His hand rises instead, then stalls, unsure what it was meant to undo. He lets it fall. The ledger stays where it is, closed, changed. His shoulders hold their weight, not strain. Something duller. He recognizes it because it does not fade. The crease draws his eye again. It no longer feels like something he has done. It feels like something the book will keep. He listens. The clock. A distant hum. The room settling. The ledger remains closed. He does not imagine opening it. He does not imagine leaving. Either would require an explanation, and the room offers none. His hand lifts once more and stops halfway. The muscles tighten, then settle into a position that can be held, but not comfortably. The crease neither deepens nor eases. It has reached its final shape. His arm begins to ache, faint and persistent, while the ledger waits patient now for whatever comes next, whether he is there for it or not. The corridor without return. He stands in the kitchen where the clock has no battery, where the window shows a pale rectangle of morning that might be yesterday. The decision sits in him like a lodged splinter. He does not touch it. He remembers when it entered. Earlier, no. Later, there had been a corridor with the smell of disinfectant and old flowers. Someone explained consequences, their voice flattened by authority and kindness. The words were careful, laid out as if on gauze. He nodded. He remembers the nodding more than the words. His own voice replied, steadier than he expected, saying yes when he thought something else might come out. The yes closed a door behind it. Now the kettle is cold. He fills it, empties it, and fills it again, because the sequence feels important. Time moves in small, unhelpful jumps. A hand on a form, a pen clicking, the pause before his signature, the ink darkening. The moment after, when he felt nothing at all. Then the wait, arriving late. He thinks of his father's hands on a winter evening long ago, showing him how to sharpen a knife. The father spoke about pressure, about letting the blade decide. He listened then too, keeping the cadence more than the instruction. The memory has no face now, only hands and the sound of metal. He wonders if that counts as guidance. Another jump. The car stopped at a light that never seemed to change. He rehearsed what he would say if asked to reconsider. No one asked. The silence felt like approval. He stands again in the kitchen. The chair is pulled out as if someone had just stood up, though he knows no one else has been here for years. He remembers a friend's laugh from a summer that keeps intruding, the way she said he always overthought things. He remembers replying that thinking was safer than acting. The memory does not answer back. Time skips. The room with the small desk appears, then vanishes. The paper was heavier than expected. The official explained the finality without using the word. He signed anyway, because stopping would have meant asking for more time, and explanations were where he tended to falter. Back to the present, which may not be the present. He opens a drawer, closes it. The object he needs is there. He remembers being told to keep it somewhere obvious. He remembers thinking that obviousness could be negotiated. A fragment from years earlier surfaces. His mother's voice, tired, telling him that some choices shape the rest, whether you notice or not. He dismissed it then. Now the memory has an edge. He sits. He stands. The clock without a battery insists on a time that does not move. He imagines a version of himself who did not say yes. That version is vague, a blur in a different corridor. The yes version is solid, taking up space, making demands. There is a moment perhaps before, perhaps after, when he felt relief. It embarrasses him now. Relief at having chosen, at no longer hovering. He wonders if that relief was the real decision. The thought suggests something about his priorities he would rather not list. He reaches for the drawer again. His hand hesitates, not from doubt, but from memory. The friend again, later, asking if he was sure. He replied with a list of reasons that sounded practiced. She did not argue, only looked at him. That look returns now without eyes. Time jumps forward. He is older by a few minutes or years. The room feels altered by the absence of an alternative. He understands that undoing is not among the available verbs. He opens the drawer fully. The object rests where it was placed, ordinary, unremarkable. He thinks of the corridor again, the nod, the steady voice. He thinks of the knife lesson, the pressure, letting the blade decide. His hand closes around the object, feeling its familiar weight, and as he lifts it toward the place already chosen, the pause stretches. Later earlier, he notices the ache in his wrist from holding still too long. The object is warmed against his skin. The kitchen light flickers, not from the bulb, but from a remembered afternoon when the power went out and someone laughed about candles and improvisation. The laugh arrives, hangs, then fades. He adjusts his grip. The movement pulls another memory loose. The first apartment, the thin walls, the neighbor whose radio bled through every evening. He learned then how to tune out unwanted sound, how to narrow attention until only what mattered remained. That skill felt useful. It feels implicated now. Time jumps. He is in the hallway, or remembers being there, shoes half on, thinking about whether to lock the door. He locked it. The click was decisive, satisfying. He recognizes the same sensation now, the urge to finish a movement simply to complete a sequence already begun. His thoughts do not line up. They arrive in blocks, separated by pauses, heavier than the thoughts themselves. In one block, a holiday table, An empty chair no one commented on. In another, a form with a box already checked. The moral discomfort does not announce itself. It seeps, quiet and persistent. He tells himself the decision was rational, that circumstances had narrowed the field. He remembers making that argument once, watching it fail to land, feeling irritated by the failure. He breathes. The object rises a fraction. He pauses again, not to reconsider, but to measure. Even now, he calculates distance, angle, likely outcome, as if the outcome were still probabilistic. Another jump. The corridor returns, altered. The walls are closer. The explanation replays, stripped to a tone that suggests care without attachment. He trusted that tone. Trust felt easier than skepticism. Back in the kitchen, the clock insists on its frozen hour. He thinks of the day he removed the battery, annoyed by the ticking. He liked the silence afterward. He wonders if that was practice. His hand trembles briefly. The tremor irritates him. He remembers being told that hesitation was a sign of conscience. He thought instead about efficiency. Time fractures again. He sees himself afterward, or imagines it. The room unchanged, the object no longer needed, the decision complete. The image brings a flatness, the same discomfort continuing without movement. It presses on him. He tightens his fingers. The sensation in his palm sharpens his focus. He allows himself one more memory. The friend's face again, older now, asking nothing. He feels a flicker of something like apology. The movement resumes. The pause thins. His arm begins to follow through, muscle remembering what the mind refuses to frame. And as the object crosses the last small distance, his breath catches and his body commits, and the moment breaks open as he brings it down, starting to. The sound he expects does not arrive yet. There is only the sensation of motion continuing, momentum insisting on itself. Time slips sideways. He remembers a winter morning when his hands shook from cold, not fear, and someone told him to breathe into them. He did, surprised by how quickly warmth could be faked. The kitchen tilts. Or another room intrudes. The office where the blinds were always half closed. He recalls standing there while an explanation unfolded, nodding again, his face arranging itself into attentiveness. He noticed how easy it was to look certain while feeling only pressure. His arm continues. The object accelerates, then seems to slow, as if passing through something thicker than air. He thinks of water, of swimming once as a child, of resistance that felt playful then. The association irritates him. A pause opens not a stop, but a widening. In it, he registers the moral discomfort as physical weight, settling lower. He does not name it. He only notes that it is there. Another jump. He is younger by decades, standing in a doorway, listening to an argument he is not part of. He remembers choosing not to enter, not to take sides. The choice felt clean. He carries that cleanliness forward like a credential. Back again. The object is nearly where it must be. His grip tightens further. He becomes aware of his breathing as an obstacle. He holds it, the way he learned to during moments requiring steadiness. The world narrows to trajectory. He recalls being told that some acts redefine before and after. He dismissed it as melodrama. Now the phrase returns stripped of drama, factual. He feels irritation at the lateness of it. Time stutters. The clock without a battery insists again. He thinks of replacing it someday, of the satisfaction of a ticking that confirms passage. The thought feels absurd, but it persists. The downward motion resumes its claim. His shoulder engages. His wrist aligns. He senses the point of no return not as a line, but as a region he has already entered. A final memory surfaces. The friend's voice saying that living with a choice was sometimes harder than making it. He smiled then, a polite deflection. The smile feels stiff now. The object descends. The air seems to thin. His body commits fully, guided by habit more than intention. And as the last fraction of distance collapses and contact becomes imminent, his mind empties of argument and fills with motion, and he brings it down, beginning to the unfinished interval. The room is the same as it was an hour ago. The chair leg presses into the same soft spot behind my knee. The window looks onto a strip of parking lot where a white sedan idles. The clock over the vending machine ticks. It hasn't hurried since I arrived, and I arrived after everything had already happened. A nurse came in earlier. She said my name and asked to confirm the spelling. Why I was alone she never asked. When she left, she took the paper cup, though I hadn't finished the water. Someone would come back, she said, but not when. The chair across from me has a stain shaped like a thumb. The lights hum at a low pitch. The door stops a finger's width short of closing. People pass by without looking in. They're careful about that. When my sister called, she said, "We're here." Where? She didn't say. They're working on him, but no explanation followed. She didn't ask me to come. It's probably fine. I said I would drive, that I was already dressed. I kept that to myself. I keep the phone on the chair beside me, face down. It hasn't vibrated. The clock tells me what time it is. The vending machine light flickers. Nothing inside looks worth eating. Someone coughed in the hallway and stopped. Someone laughed and then didn't laugh again. The nurse's shoes rubber from the sound of them. She moved through quickly, never lingering. His name never came up. The event itself stays away from the room. I wasn't there. The car, I didn't see it. The sound people mention when they think sound explains it, I didn't hear that either. I was at home, folding a towel that had already been folded once. I noticed the radio announcer paused between words. The word accident never came. The air smells of cleaner. A plant in the corner looks real, but isn't. Its leaves collect dust evenly. The magazines on the table are old. One has a person smiling with teeth that are too even. A doctor came in for less than a minute. He said my sister's name, then corrected himself. We're doing what we can. What they weren't doing, he left that out. He didn't sit down. The door, when he left, remained open the same amount. I think about the call I didn't make earlier. The screen lighting up and then dimming. The way the name appeared and how I let it fade. The reasons I try not to think about those. Reasons have a way of changing shape. The chair across from me remains empty. I could move my bag to it. I don't. The bag stays on the floor where it tips slightly. A receipt sticks out of the side pocket. I can read the total, but not the date. Or I could, if I wanted to look closer. The nurse returns. Still waiting, she says. No apology. The weather goes unmentioned, though rain has started. She adjusts the plant leaves and leaves the dust. I hear my sister's voice in my head. He asked for you. When? She didn't say. I told him you were on your way. Had she lied? She didn't say that either. I didn't correct her. The room holds its shape. The white sedan outside turns off its engine. A person gets out and walks away without looking back. I stand up and sit down again. The chair makes a noise I wasn't expecting. No one comes in to comment. The door remains open the same amount. The hallway light stays bright. I consider calling now. What would it sound like if I said something ordinary? How easily silence can be misheard. I put the phone back down without turning it over. Someone down the hall says a name that isn't his. What happens next, no one says? The expected thing feels close, like a bus you can hear, but can't see. I watch the clock instead of the door. The second hand moves without hesitation. When the handle turns, I think I'll stand. I think I'll say something simple. The sentence I didn't send it could still be sent. I place my thumb on the screen and stop, because the door moves slightly, not enough to open, just enough to suggest that someone is about to. The phone begins to vibrate. I lift it slightly. The screen lights up with a number I don't recognize. There's a moment before answering, when everything is still the same. I hold that moment. The phone keeps vibrating. If I wait until it stops, I can say I missed it. If I answer now, I'll have to speak. The vibration cuts off. The screen goes dark. The room remains unchanged. I open my mouth to say something to no one in particular, but the thought slips away. I'm left holding the phone, looking at the door. The sound I expected, it doesn't arrive. This is only a pause, I tell myself. I'm simply waiting. The clock ticks, unaware of the chair leg again, and the space where a word should be. I take a breath to continue, to say that I'm here, that I'm ready now. The sentence doesn't finish. The office at night. The rain came down in sheets, turning the desert night into a watercolor mess of blurred neon and endless black. It was one of those nights where the silence gets so loud you can hear your own thoughts trying to escape. I was nursing a lukewarm coffee behind the counter of the Starlight Motel, a place where dreams came to die, one flickering vacancy sign at a time. The clock on the wall ticked with a painful slowness, each second stretching into an eternity. Outside, the wind howled a lonely tune, and the only company I had was the buzzing of the fluorescent light above my head. That's when she walked in. He bell above the door chimed, a sound so out of place in the storm, it felt like a gunshot. She stood there for a moment, framed by the doorway, with rainwater dripping from the brim of her hat onto the worn linoleum floor. She was a silhouette against the storm, a ghost wrapped in a trench coat. She closed the door behind her, shutting out the chaos of the night, and the room fell back into its heavy quiet. As she walked toward the counter, the dim light caught her face. She wasn't just beautiful. She was the kind of beautiful that spelled trouble, the kind you read about in cheap paperbacks. Her eyes, a deep, unsettling shade of green, scanned the room before landing on me. They held a story, a long and complicated one I had a feeling I was about to become a part of. "I need a room," she said. Her voice was low, smooth like whiskey, but with a ragged edge, like she'd been running for a long, long time. It wasn't a request. It was a statement. She didn't seem to care if I had a room or not. She was staying. I pushed the registration book toward her, the warm leather cool against my fingertips. "Just for the night?" I asked, my own voice sounding rough in the stillness. She picked up the pen, her fingers long and slender. She didn't look at me. "Maybe," she whispered, the word hanging in the air between us, heavy with unspoken possibilities. She signed a name I knew wasn't hers. Jane Smith in elegant, flowing script. Classic. She slid a damp $20 bill across the counter. It was cold, just like the feeling creeping up my spine. I took the money and handed her a key, number 7. "Unlucky for some." "End of the hall on the left," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She took the key, her fingers brushing against mine for a fleeting second. The contact was like an electric shock, a warning. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. "One more thing," she said, her back still to me. "If anyone comes looking for me, tell them you haven't seen a soul all night." Before I could answer, she was gone, disappearing back into the rain-soaked darkness, leaving me alone with the buzzing light, the ticking clock, and a whole lot of questions. I watched the door swing shut, the little bell chiming softly one last time. I had a feeling this wasn't just another rainy night at the Starlight Motel. This was the beginning of something. And whatever it was going to be trouble. I took a slow sip of my cold coffee. Yeah, big trouble.